Hi everyone, it's me, Nicki D the poet. For those who don't know me, I'm Nicki D the poet. I'm nothing but a former shy girl who found her voice through poetry and now uses poetry to help other people find their voice. So basically, what I do is I use my poetry just to paint a message of love, self-assurance, and hope. So if you didn't know that today is National Suicide Prevention Day, um, and I'm also starting this segment called Lessons from My Twenties, where I basically do poetry and through the poetry hope to teach you guys valuable lessons that I learned in my early 20s. Because as you know, your early 20s, people in their 20s, particularly your early 20s, is a time where you're normally feeling very lost, where you're normally looking for guidance. So basically, I'm going to tell you guys about my goals for my 20s and hope that you guys won't have to go through the same thing. So on tonight, I'm going to do a piece called Suicide Letter, which is from my book called Crown, which is available right now on both Amazon as well as my personal author website, Nikki the Poet. I didn't want to die. I just wanted to flirt with death. I just wanted to know what it would feel like to have my breath play hopscotch on a Mason Dixon line of life. And sometimes I wonder who would even notice if tonight was my last night. Like, if my eyes didn't open and rise with the sun, what song would be sung at my funeral? What message would I be greeted with when I reached the pearly gates? I promise I didn't want to die. I just needed an escape. Because sometimes the carols in this life get so heavy and it seemed almost impossible to bear. And I would reach out and ask for help, but my mind was already pre-programmed to believe that no one would care. You didn't give me my flowers, and so I was no longer around to felt them. You didn't give me my flowers, and so I was no longer around to smell them. Love is vain if it's not felt. Honestly, most days I didn't know if I should be searching the scriptures, trying to encourage myself, or look into the hills from which cometh my help. And I'm not going to be funny. I waited up night after night and it never seemed to come. I mean, I was carving SOS in my arm just so he could know what tortured soul needed help finding peace. I mean, honestly, I didn't want to die. I just needed a relief. Um, and that's the piece. Again, that piece is found in my book Crown, and I thought it was really important to tackle mental health in this book because mental health, suicidal thoughts, and depression is something a lot of individuals I know, a lot of individuals in their 20s really suffer with, and they feel as though they can't talk about it because people will feel like they're crazy. They feel as though they can't talk about it because there's someone whose life is better off than them. They feel like they just somebody. They feel like they can't talk about it. So I thought it was very important for someone to know that. Listen, like I understand that there's people out there that's going through this. And I really thank God for myself with my circle because when I'm feeling down, when I'm feeling depressed, I have people that's around me that can pour life into me. But unfortunately, other people do not have those people, and I want them to know that it's really okay to not be okay. So many times in life, we put on this facade, we put on this front, we put on this mask because we want to appear to be strong, especially as a black woman. You want to be that strong black woman that's able to endure anything, that don't need nobody for nothing. But I want to kill that strong black woman narrative because it's okay to ask for help. asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. And I promise you, if I would have learned this lesson early in my 20s, I would have went through a lot of the crap that I went into because I was so scared to ask for help. Even sometimes now I have to remember I don't have to be frustrated trying to be Wonder Woman. I have people around me that can pick up where I slack. I have people around me that can fill in that gap for me if I'm not feeling like too much in myself and my not feeling at my strongest. And honestly, that I feel as though that's why the church was established. And I know a lot of people like, oh, I don't have to go to the physical body of the church, but I feel like it's very important to be connected. My head staff is doing whatever they want to do right now. But I feel like it's very important to be connected to a physical body of Christ because when you're feeling weak, you have a whole community there that would help pray you through whatever you're going through. And I feel as though that is why the church was established. That is why community is so important. And I feel as though there is a whole lot of resources. Like one of the resources that I found when I was looking for my therapist, and I went through my insurance company, and they sent me through a therapist that wasn't a person of color, that wasn't a woman, and I felt as though it was very hard for me to connect. It was very hard for me to connect with that therapist because I felt as though they didn't have the understanding of life the way I have the understanding of life. They didn't know what it was like to be a black woman, so you couldn't really understand where I was coming from. But then I found a website called Therapy for Black Girls, which connects you with female black female therapist. And since I think it's going on like probably like 2 or 3 years since I've been with this therapist, and she really opened my eyes. And that's another stigma in the black community that I'm happy that a lot of people in my generation is now changing, that they're not being scared to go to therapy. They're not being so, oh, if I'm in therapy, then I'm quote unquote crazy. This cat is really doing the most right now. Then I have that mindset that if I go to therapy, then I'm quote unquote crazy. So I'm really happy to see that happening. But if you're feeling like if you can if you heard the poem that was previously performed and you really like this is me, listen, my DMs are open like to help you connect you through to resources. My job does offer multiple resources for not only um regular care, primary care, but they have behavioral health resources as well. So I can be a resource to you if you're here local in Philadelphia, because we don't want someone to be lost in the system. We don't want someone to be lost and unfortunately end up taking their life because they have no one to come to. And I will be that person to stand in the gap if you have no one, if you want to be that listening ear, or if I can connect you with someone. And I think it's very important to be connected with a mental health professional, because just bitching to your girlfriends is okay, but your girlfriends will not help you, one, acknowledge the triggers, two, think of a plan for when those triggers occur. And that's a step that your girlfriends, your friends, and your family members who are not trained professionals will not be able to help you with. And I just want you to know that you do have the power to overcome the voices in your head. And I know I say this a lot that we have to remember the me and mental health, that everything starts with you, and you have to remember that you are in control, that you are in control of the thoughts that you allow to seep into your head, the thoughts that you allow to ponder and to take root in your head. Like, you do not have to ponder on every thought that pop into your head. Is you have the choice and the power to overcome the voice that's in your head. Because for years, I've been trying to silence this voice that's in my head, but she's like a record that's stuck on repeating. Even when I can't quite make out the words of the melody, my feet still marches to the rhythm of the sound waves, the metal through the ear canals that shut up vibrations to my brain that already been phonetically trained to view every message the same way. Like back when they told my great great granddaddy that he'll never be nothing more than a cotton picking slave. I'm sorry, that was a little heavy, but you see, it's hard to get her to behave like a Tyler used to get in her way. She kicks and screams, she made quite a scene. Only complete surrender to her demands is my attempt at relief. She loves to flirt with my insecurities. She has three ways with my worries and my fears, and when she reaches her peak, she leaves her liquid gooiness all over my face for all to see. She get a kick out of making a mockery of me. Like Siamese twins, we're conjoined. But most days, I really wish she would stay at home. Like, I really could have endured my first kiss alone without her reminding me of my aunt's shaped nose, or the tiny cylinders that decided to inhabit my face the night before, or the little fuzz under my chin. But yet, and still, my therapist says that she's supposed to be my friend, my guardian, my protector. Because you know, Nicole, the world could be so cruel. To that, I replied, oh, well, my fellow black girl, how would you feel if you had someone constantly trying to drain the magic out of you? Don't act like if you weren't me, you wouldn't want her long gone too. She's the monkey that's on my back, the elephant overcrowding my room, the sickness in my garden, trying to get me to believe that everything I know to be true is a lie, dangling in my face death in the fruit disguise. Yet and still, time after time after time after time, I believe her lies. Maybe it's because her voice is a perfect replica of mine. Or maybe believing that failure is the only option is far more easier than admitting that I'm scared to take the first leap. Or maybe it's because the fault really isn't in her at all, but it's really within me. After all, she's nothing but a mere personification of what I see staring back at me when I look in the mirror. And when I finally get the courage to face and defeat that girl, her voice will no longer matter. You guys have the power to overcome the voice that's in your head. And that's all for tonight. Thank you guys so much for listening. Like I said it before, that first piece is a part of one of my latest books called Crown and Now Play. The little book video for you guys.